Good evening and a very warm welcome to Television Tonga's news package for tonight. Making headlines, Tonga's Prime Minister calls on Sri Lanka's President for bilateral talks between their countries. Chief Magistrate stresses the rights of media to disseminate news items from court cases. Work is underway to deepen Whaoa Wharf to meet demands of foreign vessels and cargo ships. And £2,000 first prize for the Radio Bingo competition was yesterday presented to the winner. These and more stories later on in this bulletin, together with the latest news from around the region, sports, international scene and weather. Here's the news for tonight. Tonga's Prime Minister Lord Duvernoor has called on Sri Lanka's President Mahinda Rajapaksa for bilateral dialogue between the Kingdom of Tonga and the Republic of Sri Lanka. Lord Duvernoor made the call during the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting JACM in Colombo, Sri Lanka from November 15th until the 17th. Meanwhile, Lord Duvernoor stood alongside His Royal Highness the Crown Prince of Wales, representative of the head of the Commonwealth, Mr. Kamala Sharma, Secretary General of the Commonwealth, and other leaders at the opening ceremony of the 2013 JACM Summit. Sinlantu reports.
The Prime Minister represented Tonga in thanking the Sri Lankan President for the generous hospitality extended to him and his delegation, and at the same time applauded President Rajapaksa for choosing the theme for this year's JACM Summit, Growth with Equity, Inclusive Development. In a news release from the Prime Minister's office, it states that His Lordship also provided an account of the socio-economic challenges facing Tonga, including food and energy insecurity and climate change. Both leaders expressed their interest to develop relations and strengthen ties between their respective countries. 51 countries were represented at the JACM Summit, including Tonga, and more than 3,000 delegates attended. After the summit in Sri Lanka, the Prime Minister and his delegation departed to Bangkok for the ITU Connect Asia Pacific Summit and ITU Telecom World 2013, hosted by Thailand. For Television Tonga News, I'm Sinilatu.
Chief Magistrate Salis Murphy states that the rights of media for news coverage from courts should not be lessened. The statement was made after the lawyer, Thomas Wakahua, for Tupou College students whom were accused for trespassing, conspiracy and willful damage of a residence in Tofoa, recommended to the Chief Magistrate to warn the media regarding their distribution of information on court cases. Our court reporter, Kalisitu Nuku, tells you more.
Whaoa brought his concern during the reappearance of students from Tupou College at court this morning. Counsel Whaoa told the court that revealing of the indictment where students have been alleged will affect a jury trial if the accused would take it in the future. The Chief Magistrate asked Whaoa to point out the part of the news that was not right and would affect a jury trial. The Chief Magistrate also told court that he has watched the television news last night and found no problem with its content, except for the changing of dates for the students to be reappeared in court. Whaoa admitted that media do have the rights and he understands the using of alleged in the news piece, but he only concerned about the indictment being read out. Meanwhile, Radio and Television Tonga's court reporter also had the chance to clarify in court details and facts read out on Radio and Television Tonga, where she emphasized that Radio Tonga and Television Tonga can only state or broadcast issues that have been brought up in court, but not from somewhere else. Concerning over the use of the word alleged in the news, it was meant that the accused is still innocent until convicted for the crime. Reporting for Television Tonga, I'm Kalisitu Nuku.
The renovation work towards deepening of the wharves is underway, starting from the Whaoa Wharf. This is part of the Ports Authority's project to meet demand of foreign vessels and cargo ships. It will also enable more trade opportunities and exportation of local products. Ports Authority's vessel is carrying out the extension work for the wharf's depth. Speaking to Television Tonga News, the acting boatmaster, Iketau Kaufusi, says this is to better Tonga's ports and also make easier trade and accessibility of larger cargo ships. The maximum depth for the Whawa Wharf is about 3 to 4 meters and renovation work should be carried out accordingly. This is held every 5 years. Recently, we've received complaints from some of the foreign cargoes and ships that they cannot dock at the wharf because it is too shallow, so we hope that after this work the boats will be satisfied to our customers. Meanwhile, a senior officer from the Port Authority, Sosifa Tu'angalu, says renovation includes Vuna and the Quinsalote Wharf. In a recent survey conducted by the USS Pearl Harbor under the Pacific Partnership 2013, they have identified the same problems. We then know that works need to be done as soon as possible. The work is funded by Port Authority and is expected to complete by the end of this year. DuBois College students continue appearing at the Magistrate Court in Whasimuiafi this morning. This is after the first group of 40 students appeared yesterday for their preliminary inquiry. It continues after several counts were alleged towards the students, including trespassing, rioters' assembly, conspiracy to commit a crime, and willful damages to the house of Kepu Ioane at Tofoa in July this year. The incident occurred when the house was occupied by Luisa Mahe. Students were called in groups according to the allegations made, whereas some students were charged and alleged of 3 or 4 counts. The students will appear again in court on February 10th until the 12th, while the others will reappear in court tomorrow. There is a need for effective regional and national responses to climate change. This is one of the most pressing needs stressed by delegates from all over the region that attended the 8th Conference of the Pacific Community, which is hosted and chaired by the Government of the Republic of Fiji. The Secretary of Foreign Affairs, Wa'inga Tone, is representing Tonga to the meeting. During the meeting, there has been a call for a coordinated approach to development that is inclusive and focused on clear priorities for the region. This requires increased investments in partnership to ensure longer and meaningful outcomes that address priorities critical to the Pacific Islands region. The meeting is attended by ministers and delegations from the 26 member governments of the Pacific Community as well as observers, including Timor-Leste, agencies of the United Nations, and the European Union. The 2-day meeting will end today. 7 students from the USB of the South Pacific USB are gathering at the 19th Conference of the Parties to the United Nations Convention on Addressing Issues in Regards to Climate Change in Warsaw, Poland. The Pacific Island University students are part of the climate change program at USB and are also part of the Nauru delegation. Nauru is the chair of the Alliance of Small Island States, AOSIS, to which Tonga is a member. Sinlatu tells you more.
It's the second year the university students from USP are partaking in the UNFCCC Summit. Information from the Secretariat of the Pacific Region's Environment Program states the Director of the Pacific Center for Environment and Sustainable Development of the USP, Professor Elizabeth Holland, as saying that they are trying to build the students' capacity to become climate change negotiators. Professor Holland also says that the students participating in this program have built their confidence, negotiation skills, amongst other things in regards to climate change. University students from Fiji, Andra Whiteside, says that the opportunity is important to her to get exposure. Meanwhile, Fetalai Ngangaiolo Samoa, who's attending her second climate change talks, says she wants to see more input and action rather than just talking, which she sees most of it happening. It's the same meeting attended by a delegation from Tonga, led by the Minister for Lands, Survey, Environment, Climate Change and Natural Resources, Lord Ma'afu, followed by the CEO, Aspeli Palaki, and others. For Television Tonga News, I'm Sinilatu.
The wholesale and retail prices for petrol, kerosene and diesel will decrease in November to December 2013. Information from the Ministry of Commerce, Tourism and Labour says the retail price for petrol has decreased by 6.56 seniti per litre to a new price of 2 paanga and 77 seniti per litre. The retail price for kerosene has decreased by 4.09 seniti per litre to a new price of 2 paanga and 30 seniti per litre. The retail price for diesel has decreased by 2.58 seniti per litre to a new price of 2 paanga and 91 seniti per litre. Petroleum prices for November and December 2013 are a result of the weaker global demand and the increase in oil production and other factors. Jewel Wikiloto of Faveluloto won the 2000 Paanga first prize for a radio bingo competition on Cool 90 FM last Saturday. The program was organized by Keleneta Lofe of Homokilikao. In the meantime, second and third prizes were also awarded yesterday. The winner of the bingo competition, Jewel Wikiloto, happily received her 2000 Paanga first prize. Speaking to Television Tonga News, she says, "This was an unexpected surprise. The money that I receive has been a blessing for Christmas. However, I will present 500 paanga to a Class 6 student from a neighbor that has helped me play the bingo game. The rest will then be used to purchase a new roof for my house." Meanwhile, the organizer of the radio bingo, Keleneta Lufe, says the program aimed at enhancing radio and television Tonga's mission of entertaining public. This program is quite new to many, but it aims at entertaining public and to give them an opportunity to be part of the broadcast programs disseminated from Cool 90 FM. The bingo games will be broadcast on Radio Tonga 2 every Saturday. This is the second time the program has been publicly broadcast in Radio Tonga 2. And that's the local news. Here's a look at the latest news from around the region.